Let's just let our friends on X and Blue Sky know. All right. That link has been posted. We can now start the show.
All right. Hey, everybody. It is Monday, August 25th. This is Section 1904. I'm Darren Smith. He's John Gennaro. Thank you for being with us. We are live on YouTube, and this also will be available as a free podcast. But if you're just checking out Section 1904 for the very first time, welcome in. Also consider a subscription. I understand that there are lots of people asking you to subscribe to lots of different things these days. We certainly can appreciate that. But for as little as $5 a month, you can enjoy this podcast. You can enjoy some content that we have uploaded on our website, section1904.com. All sorts of exclusive stuff as well. But Mondays usually are free. We have noticed that it is our highest traffic day. So
Surprise,
we understand
surprise.
that. People are still sampling it. Maybe they think we're going to start tailing off at some point, but we've been pretty consistent. Not pretty consistent. We've been incredibly consistent here, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, putting something up there, some content, mostly on local sports in San Diego. So hopefully people are enjoying it. Yes, good morning, and we appreciate you all. Thank you for being here with us. And whether you're consuming this on demand a little later on Monday, or whether you're checking us out live, seriously, we do need the support. This is ad-free. This is 100% local, for local, by local. So we do appreciate all of that. This is the weekend recap, which means we're probably going to just spend our time talking about the Padres and some San Diego Football Club. So from that standpoint, we'll get into it. John, you had a good weekend, I hope?
I did have a good weekend. Wow, that was a weird burp that came out of my mouth. I did have a good weekend. There was some relaxing. There was some friendship. I did miss all of the Saturday evening sports, which really sucks for the sake of this podcast and for myself, because that was the best Padres game of the weekend, I think. I got to miss a very good Nestor Cortez start. I missed all of the SDFC games, so you're going to have to catch me up on that. But I all I can think about right now is for local, buy local, and if we should start a clothing brand called FLBL. Maybe that'll be part of the merch that eventually comes out. But no, good weekend, especially yesterday. Saturday night was kind of late. Traveled out of town to see some friends that were visiting Southern California from out of the state. And yesterday was a lot of sitting around, being lazy, recharging my batteries. And I love days like that. I need days like that.
Yeah, everybody needs days like that. I feel like everybody's so on the go all the time. And every once in a while, I have to say, like, can we just not do anything? Instead of what are we going to do today? Sometimes the answer is nothing. Like,
Yeah.
let's not do anything.
I love it.
Although that's hardly what we did on Sunday. Yeah, Friday had a little bit of a get together, had some friends in town, some friends who we've met, who we've known for a really, really long time, who now live in Sacramento, but they were down over the weekend. So we got to spend a little bit of time with them on Friday night, went out to dinner. Friends had a house party in Hillcrest. So I had the Padre game on. I was well aware of it. But when John said, "Do you want in on this post game show?" Like, I don't think I have enough to add to the conversation other than just like speaking big picture stuff like, yay, Padres won. So then Saturday, I was completely out of pocket. I had sort of the opposite experience for you, where I was completely out of pocket for Padres because I was 100% in on SDFC.
Mm-hmm.
And, doing play-by-play there, it's a different discipline, as I've said. It's a totally different experience than doing the color commentary. So, and we had to do the pre and the half and the post, so there's a lot going on there. And then yesterday, wife was out of town almost all of last week, heading out of town again tomorrow. So we had an afternoon to ourselves. So we did a little bit of paddle boarding. It's the first time that we went paddle boarding. We are paddle boarders. This is our first paddle boarding of 2025. I was like, whoa, it is the last week of August. And we finally got out there on the bay. So did get out there on the water. It was a great day. Warm, really, really warm. Bay was beautiful. Lots of people out there paddle boarding. So, and all in, I would say on the sports front, John, normally, if you were to say in the abstract, Padres take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers and SDFC clinches a playoff spot, you'd be like, wow, that's a great weekend.
Yeah.
Yet I sort of sense that like there's a little, yeah, but to everybody's giddy up here today. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way the game ended for the Padres on Sunday. I don't know if it was a scoreless draw where SDFC actually clinched a playoff spot by halftime.
Yeah.
We had all these playoff scenarios, and I asked a member of the media relations team. I said, "Hey, can you do us just one favor here, because I'm not going to pay attention to the 13 different scenarios where SDFC could get into with the playoffs. Can you just come into the booth and tell us if it happens, please?"
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. They're like, "Yes, playoff scenario number 12 hit." These three things happen somewhere else. So this is now a playoff team. I was like, "Oh, okay, like, cool, playoff team. Let's go win the game." Didn't happen. Scoreless draw. Pretty good Portland team. We could talk about that later. Not a team I think I want to see in the postseason, should it come to that. But we do have one team that qualified for the playoffs. And obviously, when you're 2-8 against the Dodgers, John, and you take 2 out of 3, I think that's supposed to be a good thing. Tied for first place on August 25th in Seattle tonight. Yet, what's the hesitation here? What's the yeah, but?
Okay, the players did their job. And I want to be clear before I criticize Mike Shildt very loudly here. No manager is perfect, and the Padres are in first place in their division, later than they've been in first place in their division in, 15 years. Mike Shildt deserves credit for that. The players love Mike Shildt. Ken Rosenthal put out an article about an hour ago where he just had quote after quote from Mason Miller, from Robert Suarez, from Ryan O'Hearn, from Gavin Sheets. They were all just like, we don't care where we play. We don't care how often we play. We don't care when we pitch. All we care about is how we can help this team, how we can contribute, how we can get to playoff games. And that is a testament to how Mike Shildt runs this team, runs this clubhouse as the manager of the team. He's not the world's greatest game manager. He's not the world's worst game manager, but he gave the game away yesterday. And I know you were paddleboarding, but he gave the game away. Everyone saw it coming. Everyone knew what was going to happen, and Mike Shildt did it anyway. In a 2-2 tie, he brought in Jeremiah Estrada, who on the season, Kevin Acee had these numbers in Padres Daily. Literally yesterday morning, on the season, Jeremiah Estrada's ERA against the Dodgers was 14.29, and his ERA against every other team in baseball was like 1.3. Like, basically, the Dodgers are the only team that hit Jeremiah Estrada like this. Kevin Acee had
this year, it should be pointed out.
This year, Kevin Acee had a quote yesterday morning from Jeremiah Estrada where he was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know why they hit me so hard. I try and throw my best stuff, but it's just not working." Like, there's a quote in the paper from this guy. Like, "I don't understand, but they always hit me this hard."
We're going to hear it. We have the audio thanks to Marty Caswell.
No, that was yesterday morning.
Okay.
That was before Mike Shildt made this decision. There's more quotes from him after the game because his ERA against the Dodgers this year went from 14.29 up to 18.27. He's giving up more than 2 runs per 3 outs. And it's the only...
And again, 6 1/3 innings. So just to point it out.
Right. But this is not a decision that needed to be made. Like, Estrada pitched the night before. And David Morgan hadn't pitched since Wednesday. I did this on the postgame show yesterday. David Morgan, who has a 2-something ERA and a 1-something ERA since the All-Star break, has been just as good as all these other 4 or 5 horsemen in the bullpen. And his ERA against the Dodgers this year, when he has 7 innings pitched, similar to Jeremiah Estrada, is like 1-something. Like, there was no reason to go with Jeremiah Estrada over David Morgan, maybe even over Adrian Morejon. I saw people throwing that name out there as well. But the fact that he picked Estrada in that situation could have only been predetermined before the game. And I saw a quote from Mike Shildt. I know we have a video of Mike Shildt. We can get to it in a second. But I saw a quote from Mike Shildt where he said, "I don't run from people," or some people like would run from this, and I'm not one of them. It's obvious that before the game, whether he told Jeremiah or not, Mike Shildt knew that Jeremiah Estrada had an ERA over 14 against the Dodgers, and he was determined to put him in this game to either help him overcome it or to see what he's got for future playoff games or whatever. But to do that in the 7th inning of a 2-2 game, a game against a team, it's the last game they're going to play against each other this regular season, and they're tied for first place. Like, this is an important game. And to just hand it over to Jeremiah Estrada, go, hey, I know you're not mentally in a good place with this team. I know you've had nothing but bad results against this team. I know you're wondering if you're tipping pitches against them, but here you go. 7th inning tie game. If you lose, we instead of a 2-game lead in the division for the rest of the season, we have no lead in the division for the rest of the season. Have at it. Was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen Mike Shildt make. And again, he's not perfect. I don't expect him to be perfect. There are things to criticize for all these guys, but for me, it showed not just bad decision making. It showed a lack of respect for the moment. Like, you and I were talking last week about, like, hey, this is the Dodgers. I know it's regular season, but this is the Dodgers, and you're fighting for first place. Like, these games matter. And what mattered to Mike Shildt was getting Jeremiah Estrada's head right more than winning the game. And I think that's I used to tell people all the time, like, there are managers who are great in the regular season that try and do the exact same thing in the postseason and it doesn't work. And there are managers who are really good in the regular season that in the postseason they manage with desperation and creativity. And those are the guys that tend to win World Series rings. This was not a good one for Mike Shildt in terms of understanding the moment, the level of desperation needed, the amount of creativity needed. He treated like it was a game against the Reds in June instead of what it actually was, which is the last possible chance you had to get a lead on the Dodgers for this stretch run. And I'm very disappointed. I'm not like Mike Shildt should be fired, but I'm very disappointed.
So, there's a lot there. Let me go one by one here. Number one, I do think it's odd, just to point this out, not that it has anything to do specifically with what it is that you're saying, that the last time that the Padres and the Dodgers, who have identical records in the NL West, are playing one another is August 24th. I don't know. I just think that that's weird. I don't know why that is. But the point I'm making there is you're right to point out that this is the last time that these two teams are going to see one another during the regular season. The next time they could potentially face one another would be when? October, in the playoffs. So what is your approach then with Jeremiah Estrada? Should the Padres and the Dodgers face off against one another in October?
You mean if now, like, you mean right now?
Yeah, you're not going to pitch Jeremiah Estrada against the Dodgers?
Oh, I would.
You are?
I would.
Why?
Yeah.
He's got terrible numbers against the Dodgers. You just said it.
I wouldn't bring him in the, if it's tied.
You'd rather go David Morgan in a close game, high leverage game, Padres, Dodgers, playoffs. You're going to go Morgan over Jeremiah Estrada as of today? That's your thought process?
I would give this is my experience with this is I would give Jeremiah Estrada a chance early in the series, assuming we're talking playoff series now. Mm-hmm. Early in the series, I would give him an opportunity. Hopefully it's not a high leverage opportunity, but if it is, it is. I would give him a chance in game 1, maybe game 2, come in, pitch an inning. If he gets bombed, he sits down until we're playing a different team. Thank God we have David Morgan who can and the other 4 or 5 guys.
Okay, well then why even put him on the postseason roster then? Don't even put him on there. If he's got the sort of mental block against the Dodgers. By the way, fair to point out that Jeremiah Estrada against the Dodgers last year in the postseason was pretty good.
Yeah, well,
last season against the Dodgers was pretty good.
I said give him an opportunity. If he takes that opportunity and he's really good,
I don't want to sound like I'm a Shildt defender here, but I do think that a lot of this is based on the results of the outing, right? Which of course is how people are going to view it because he gave up 4 runs, and I do think it is. As crazy as it sounds, when you're 2-8 against the team going into the weekend, I do think it is just a little bit disappointing that you didn't sweep them when you had a lead in your building in the 6th inning of this game, and you do have this bullpen. Okay, like that's like the overall big picture here, but hardly a Mike Shildt defender. I mean, that is certainly not how I want to come across here. But I think this is a little trickier than it is how easy you're making it seem. Like, oh, you just don't do it because, he hasn't had a good, who else doesn't pitch well against the Dodgers? Robert Suarez.
Yeah.
So, if you look at Robert Suarez's numbers, he's thrown 19 innings against the Dodgers. He's allowed 10 earned runs. So, what are you going to do? You're going to hide him? I don't know that you're going to hide him either. And you're right to point out that this year the numbers are more extreme for Jeremiah Estrada. 8 games, 6 and a third, 13 earned runs. This is a guy that's allowed 21 earned runs all season long, and 13 of them have come against the Dodgers.
I know.
So they have something on him. They have the goods on him. Somehow, some way, they got him. And I think you're right to point that out. But I also think if you are the manager of this team, you are thinking like, I'm not going to be able to not use Estrada if I face the Dodgers again somewhere down the road. And this is literally the last opportunity for me to try to get this guy a little bit of confidence. Now, should that supersede maybe a better decision for Morejon or Mason Miller? I think that's debatable. I just think it's debatable. I don't think it's as obvious as
No,
and others are making it sound, because
things.
you're also, I think you're basing a lot of this on the results, which I can't ignore. I mean, the results are bad, and the results have been bad all season long. Jeremiah Estrada knows that the results are bad. I thought he handled it about as well as he could in the post game. He's like, yes, like there is something. And I cannot say that you're 100% wrong. What I'm saying is I think it's more debatable than people want to make it out to be, that this is a guy that you're going to rely on. You would think you're going to rely on him unless you're just going to give him a potential postseason series off against the Dodgers.
No.
And this is literally your last opportunity to try to leave him with a good feeling about facing this team. So, again, I'm not a Mike Schultz guy. I'm not. But I do think that there's some context here, and that there's some gray area here, that it's maybe I don't think it's as obvious, just for me, John, respectfully. I don't think it's as obvious as you're making it out to be. But I understand why you're making the point that you're making, because a lot of us, all of us, when we saw, and I was listening, so when Estrada's coming into the game, we're like, yeah, okay, like it hasn't gone well here. We'll see. And the results were the results, and it's easy to say, see, we told you. But like, how else are you supposed to try to get the guy clicking again against this opponent, which has, been a real albatross for him this year, and like the only team that really does this to him? I don't know. I mean, I kind of understand the motivation of wanting to get him back out there, but I also understand like a 2-game lead in this division right now is a lot different than being
tied
level with this team in the standings, because you don't have the tiebreaker. And a 2-game lead is not that it's guaranteed if you don't pitch him either, by the way. I mean, the Padres weren't doing a whole lot offensively, but, and there's no guarantee that other things, couldn't have happened with Morgan or with Miller. Miller had a couple of walks there. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, Suarez, like we've said, he's giving it up in big spots. You're still going to have to figure out a way. You say Morgan. Okay, that's fair. Morgan, then thinking into Miller and Morejon and Suarez. I mean, that's all fair. AC said that Miller, Morgan, and Suarez were all available yesterday. The only one who wasn't was Jason Adam. But I just think it's tricky. I understand, why you might want to get the guy back out there. I do, because you really think if you're going to get where you need to go, you probably are going to need him at some point against this team. And instead of making it better, unfortunately, the results have made it worse, haven't they? That's the tough part about it, is like, you're thinking I'm going to get this guy a little bit of confidence. And instead, and I will say this for Estrada too, like what he even said yesterday was, and we'll hear the clip. He's like, I will always raise my hand. I will always raise my hand when that bullpen phone rings. I will always do that. And I appreciate that about him. He's not like, there are guys, hitters and pitchers alike, who are like, yeah, I don't know. I don't do well against that guy. Maybe I should get the day off.
Mm-hmm.
And he has had success, and he continues to think like, I should have more success. I should not have these kind of numbers against anybody. I don't care how good they are. I shouldn't have these numbers against anybody. But, again, like, is that the right time for it? Oh, John, I don't know, man. I think it's debatable. I just do.
Well, no, I agree with you. And I think this is the debate. The debate is, does it matter more to try and boost Jeremiah Estrada's confidence against the Dodgers, or does it matter more to try and get a 2-game lead over the Dodgers? And I am in the camp of it matters more to get a 2-game lead. And I also don't think I think Jeremiah Estrada, if he could boost his confidence, overall confidence between now and a postseason series against the Dodgers, I don't think he's going to come in and lose all that confidence. Be like, oh God, it's the Dodgers, I'm freaking out. now I actually think there's a better chance of that, right? You've destroyed his confidence a little bit more. The phrase that popped into my mind this morning was, and I don't know if Tony La Russa ever actually said this or if I just remember him saying it, but he destroyed Rick Ankiel mentally by leaving him out there in a playoff game when he could not throw a strike anywhere near the plate, and he just left him out there to just throw pitches to the backstop and walk guy, and then give up a home run. And Rick Ankiel switched to becoming an outfielder after that because he was so, anytime he got on the mound, he was just reliving that trauma. And I was like, did it help Rick Ankiel to just leave him out there and be like, hey man, he's got to get his confidence out there. We got to let him throw some strikes out there. Otherwise he's never going to be no, you destroyed him. And I'm not saying that Mike Shildt destroyed Jeremiah Estrada. I'm saying I don't think personally Mike Shildt should have prioritized Jeremiah Estrada, who, like, if we're being honest here, is the fourth most important arm out of the bullpen, maybe the fifth most important arm out of the bullpen. I don't think he and his confidence against the Dodgers, especially when you saw him quoted in the paper that morning saying he didn't have confidence against the Dodgers, I don't think that was the time to prioritize him over the team. I think winning the game against the Dodgers yesterday should have been the highest priority, and it wasn't. And I get he's looking forward, he's a player, but you got to get there, man. And you know what?
You're going to get there.
But you know what's more important? Home field advantage in that series. If you get to face the Dodgers in the playoffs, home field advantage matters more than Jeremiah Estrada's confidence. I'm sorry, it just does. Both of these teams are much better at home than they are on the road. And to just throw the game away and just ignore David Morgan like he does not exist. The man hadn't pitched since Wednesday, Darren. It was Sunday. Just ignore him like he didn't exist, like he wasn't the best choice, because Jeremiah Estrada had some sad quotes in the paper. It's a bad move. But you know, Mike Shildt makes a lot of moves, and a lot of them are good, and some of them are bad. Let's play the quote. Do you want to hear?
Well, I mean, you're saying Morgan. I mean, Miller's available there. We've seen him use his bullpen in unconventional ways as well.
That's true.
I don't know.
It was David the bottom Morgan. Of the lineup, though.
I'd have to go back and look at what David, you're giving me numbers here that are just abstract about David Morgan. Were they high leverage situations? What are we talking about? Against a really good Dodger team. I don't know. What's that?
I said, I don't think this was a high leverage situation.
You don't think a tie game in the 6th inning against the Dodgers is a high leverage situation?
7th inning, I guess. But you're coming in with a clean inning. There's no one on base. Like, I don't know. But yeah, David Morgan, I can look it up. But David Morgan has actually been very good in high leverage situations this year. He's been very good in every situation this year. He's been good all year long, and he hasn't pitched in 4 days. And you pick Jeremiah Estrada, who had pitched the night before, who was shaky with his confidence, who thinks the Dodgers have something on him, to come in, and the game's over 3 batters later because of it. And there are people in the chat saying John's being a Monday morning quarterback. If Jeremiah Estrada came in and laid these guys down, mowed them down 1, 2, 3, that you wouldn't be saying this at all.
But he didn't.
But when he was trotting in from the bullpen, I was literally pulling out my non-existent hair, going, what are you doing? There's one guy in the bullpen that you do not bring into this situation, and it's that guy. Or maybe.
But that's what he's there. It's really hard to explain these numbers this year for Estrada, like I said, because it wasn't last year. Last year he was good against them. Last year in the playoffs he was great against them. Didn't allow an earned run in 3 2/3. So, like, what is happening here? What exactly is it that's happening? I think that's a hard thing to explain. And again, the matchup stuff. Yeah, I know Shildt goes down this road where he's talking about Morahone versus Will Smith, which, Will Smith is homered against Estrada this year too. So, I don't know that he's just playing matchups. All he's doing is burping up, lefty-righty matchups and things like that. But listen, I know what you're saying, and I'm not saying I'm not being dismissive of it. I just think, I think you're going to need Estrada. I just do. And I understand on August 24th, what you're saying, there's a lot of time left. There's not a ton of time, but, it is now 1 game back, and it's a huge difference. 1 game back, 2 games up. I'm playing with the tiebreaker stuff, everybody, not just being literal here about it. But, I guess with just 1 game up, if I really want to go down that road and be consistent. But I don't know. I mean, he's been one of your go-to guys for so long, and maybe. I mean, I cannot dispute what the results were, and I'm not gonna alibi him, John. Not gonna alibi him and say, well, it was a weak single, and it was a walk against Conforto, and it wasn't good. Um, hasn't been good all year. To your point, I mean, it's an incredible number to look at and say 13 earned runs of the 21 that he's allowed all year have come against this team. I mean, I do feel for the guy, and I do understand wanting to get that guy, a little bit of confidence, so that now, but it's compounded the problem, and now who like everybody's going to be thinking about this, and I don't want to say it's a distraction from Fernando going 0 for 7 in the series, or other guys who didn't do things or whatever. But it is the story, and it does feel a little disappointing. I understand. Oh man, what did you expect? You're going to sweep the dot? Well, why? I mean, the Angels did it, for God's sake. So, I mean, and the Padres got swept, and they're tied. They have the identical record, and the Padres got swept last weekend, and you had a lead in your building in the 6th inning of that game with this bullpen. So, yeah, you'll forgive me for being just a tad bit disappointed that it's a series win. But, it's also, it felt like it could have been a little bit better based on the situation where you were in the game. What do we want to hear? This back and forth with Schilt and AC first? Is that what we want to do? Okay, again, courtesy Marty Caswell.
For both of these.
Either on YouTube, but I think this one we're actually going to go to her Threads account, John. John seems kind of surprised that people still post things on Threads.
I am a little surprised people still post things on Threads. All right, so we'll start with Schilt.
Incredible this year. Struggled a bit against the Dodgers. Wondering if there was any thought to not using him in that lane there, or why you did.
I'll start with the first part. Jeremiah's been outstanding all day. He was in a lane that, quite frankly, he's been great for us. People can run from people. I personally don't. It's easy to. I don't know what that question led to, but all I can tell you is it was a lane that he has had success with that lane, starting at Pages. We felt good about all of it. He gave up a ground ball single. The walk to Conforto obviously was important. Got Rojas. Didn't go to Morihone because that brings in Will Smith.
The idea that you have a pitcher who has given up, last night gave up a homer. Dodgers seem to be giving him some trouble. Doesn't matter. That the lane is what
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. All I'm telling you is, do you want me to answer the question? Or
I'm sorry, I meant that it was a question. Like, that doesn't matter. I was trying to get to the bottom of, it's simply about you trust Jeremiah in that lane.
I just explained the answer and you just repeated the question again. I'm not sure what to say. I trusted him in the lane, okay? I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what you keep wanting me to explain to you. I mean, he's had success against Pages. Conforto doesn't have any numbers on it. It's a different lane than other guys he's faced. He's been outstanding, as good as almost anybody in the league. He gave up a ground ball single, a walk to Conforto. He got Rojas. We preferred to have him in on rushing versus Morihone on Smith potentially. And he hit a homer. I don't know, if we're going to explore every time an inning doesn't work out, man, that's going to be tough because we're not perfect. He's not perfect, so I don't know what more to explain.
All right. Well, I mean, I do like watching that. For those that are on YouTube, you got treated to the whole head maneuvering
tilt
around thing there as well. Like, oh, what? And like, he actually didn't answer the second part of the question, which is why Kevin had to repeat himself. I don't know if everybody else picked up on that, but Kevin did ask a 2-part question. He answered one part of it, and then Kevin's like, okay. But like the second part is, and that's where he gets a little defensive, which again, is a strategy. I mean, this is just trying to put a little bit of the spotlight on the interaction more than it is, the actual, the players themselves. So,
you know what? This is very Mike Schilt, actually. Not the trying to help out Estrada or seeing what he wants, but like, he just gets too cute about everything. Like, there's never a point in time in which he's like, why'd you go with that guy? Because we think he's awesome. Like, oh, he's got great numbers against Pages and no numbers against Conforto, and we were worried if we brought in more home, they'd bring in Will Smith. Like, he's always trying to think 2-3 moves ahead. But you made this point last weekend. It's so predictable what he's trying to do. Like, the 2-3 moves ahead is so predictable that Dave Roberts can basically like cut him off when he's trying to go somewhere. And Yeah, that strikes me as too cute. I did say on the postgame show.
I also
said
don't know, by the way, just to be
Yeah.
jump in here real quick, John, and somebody did point this out. This is not, I have not looked this up myself, but that Pages actually has had some decent numbers against him. So it sounds like
course.
that's a little bit back and forth there. I'm not sure that that's the way it made it sound was like, oh yeah, he's had success against Pages. Like Pages can't do anything against him. And I don't think that's exactly the case. So again, that was pointed out. I haven't looked it up, but somebody on the Discord channel, which is another benefit, being a subscriber to Section 1904, access to the Discord channel, you that was pointed out. So I will accept that as factual, even though I have not looked it up.
I said in the post-game show that I did yesterday on the Section 1904 YouTube channel, please go and subscribe, that if I were Mike Schilt, I'd walk into the press conference after the game and say, that was on me. I was trying to pick this guy up. I wanted to see if he could, rise to the occasion. I wanted to see if I could trust him against the Dodgers in the playoffs. And he didn't do any of that. You're doing it for him. We're doing it for him.
Well, then you're going to lose that player. That's a terrible idea, and that's why you're not a manager. I mean, honestly, that would be the worst thing that you could possibly say.
Why?
To say, oh, yeah, I wanted to see if I can trust him, and now I know I can't?
No, not now I know I can't. But you could say, like, look, he's struggled against the Dodgers this year, and I wanted to give him a chance to get back on the horse and prove to himself that he's as good against the Dodgers as he's been against everybody else. There's the easier way of saying it.
Yeah.
All right, should we hear from Estrada?
Yeah, I mean, I know people put very little value in how people handle difficult situations. I guess maybe having stood there and had to talk to these people in these situations, I have an appreciation for it. Not everybody will, but I mean, he was there, and lots of guys sometimes dip out the back door, but he was there yesterday, and he dealt with it.
Yeah. All right, let's get from Estrada.
Again, this is Marty Caswell on Threads. How about that?
If it wants to play.
Baseball ain't easy.
It's just that
really
simple.
Mess with your mind a bit, but I mean, the greats have gone through these struggles. Everyone is, since this game has existed, there's struggles. Could be one team, two teams. I mean, it's baseball. I mean,
The team doesn't run for matchups. Is that your mentality too, regardless of your struggles against the Dodgers? You want that
if Shilty says who wants the ball again in the 7th inning, tie game, I'm going to raise my hand. It don't matter. It's just who I am. I don't like to lose. I mean, it's baseball. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, it's going to happen. Last year I did really good against them. This year I don't know.
They're known as a team that's pretty good at picking up tails and all that. Do you think they might have anything along those lines on you?
Something on me? I mean, I don't even know. They might even know what color underwears I'm wearing. I mean, I don't even know what the heck it is, like, I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's a hard game, man.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and he's right. I mean, he was a big part of, their postseason success while they had it against them last year. I mean, I can only imagine how frustrating this is to be like, man, I'm really good at this, except for this one team. And then, you do start thinking, as Dennis asked about, they're known as a team now that's got a little something going on there. We talked about it on the podcast before, and that wouldn't surprise me. What, all of a sudden, Jeremiah Estrada just, turns into some tomato can against the Dodgers, or, do they have something on him? I would probably guess and suggest, John, it is the latter, because that's the only way to make any sort of sense of this whatsoever. Right. And, it's probably a difficult night's sleep for Jeremiah Estrada, thinking like, what do they have on me? What do they have on me? Because I don't know how to make any sort of sense of this whatsoever. And what did they get on me that's different than what it was that I had last year? I don't know. But that's the Dodgers.
Yeah. For the rest of the season, forgive me if this is going to become annoying, but for the rest of the season, it's going to be hard for me to not look at the division standings without going, and Mike Schilt threw that one game away. And granted, it was a tie game. It wasn't like the Padres had a lead. There was no guaranteed win, even if, they held the Dodgers scoreless in that 7th inning. But again, it just feels like he prioritized a playoff series that might never happen, Darren, or he prioritized Estrada, who is like the fourth or fifth most important arm out of the bullpen, over the division standings. And because of that, it's gonna color the way I look at the division standings for the rest of the season. And I'm probably gonna be really annoying about it.
Fair. Again, it's fair. Like you said, you cannot guarantee that these two teams are going to meet in October. So, if at all that was even for 1 single second part of the thought process, got to get there. You got to get to that matchup, and there's no guarantee that it'll happen, that the Dodgers won't get picked off first or that the Padres won't get picked off first. So I can't argue with you on that one. But, I do think that part of managing also, it's not just matchups, it is also confidence. It is also, being, this is one of the things I've always said about Bruce Bochy, and it kind of took me a while to understand it. It's because his players really trust that when Bochy asks you to do something, he's putting you in a position to succeed. Now, you could say, well, this is undermining your whole argument here about Estrada and Schilt because he put him in a situation where he didn't have success, again, because of what we've already discussed and the lack of success against the Dodgers this year. But, I do think that there is part of that. Part of being a manager is being, a little psychological, in your approach here. It's not just exclusively about matchups, but I don't disagree with the other side of this. I'm just, again, I don't think it's black and dry as black and white or cut and dried as like, oh, he just threw it away. Like he just prioritized, he goes Morgan out there too, and they light up Morgan. People are going to go, why didn't you go to one of your better arms? This is the challenge of managing. Again, I hate that I sound like I'm defending this guy, but this is kind of that, isn't it? Like if you go Morgan there and like, you're playing numbers and you're saying, well, more numbers here seem to suggest that success would have been more likely as a result. And I can't disagree because it didn't happen. But, if it does happen, you're going to open yourself up to, well, why didn't you do this? Well, it's because I don't trust it. Well, what, now what does that say?
But you could have prioritized building up David Morgan and building up his confidence and go, hey, we were going to need him against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. What is your favorite stat to evaluate a pitcher? It's probably not ERA, right? FIP, WHIP, ERA plus.
I don't have one. I mean, I don't. I just kind of look at numbers, and I don't think there's any one thing. It's just kind of what I don't love about WAR.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sort of is. I think. I mean, it's like Fernando. Did Fernando have a good weekend or a bad weekend? He was 0 for 7, but he had 5 walks and he scored 2 runs. I don't know.
David Morgan.
What I expect for him as a pitcher is I expect Estrada to go out there. I think he's a strikeout pitcher. He's got swing and miss stuff, and you expect him to go out there and even if he gives up a run here or there, like you expect him to go in and have clean innings.
Yeah, David Morgan has the second highest ERA plus of any relief pitcher on the Padres, only behind Jason Adam. He has the same WAR as Jeremiah Estrada in almost half as many innings. His ERA currently is 1.72, which is also best in the bullpen behind only Jason Adam. Like, I understand that when it was the 4 horsemen, it was the 4 horsemen plus David Morgan. I understand that he has not been considered at the same tier with Robert Suarez and Jason Adam and Adrian Morejon and Jeremiah Estrada and Mason Miller. I'm telling you, he's there. And yes, it's absurd to think like, okay, Jeremiah Estrada can't pitch high leverage innings against the Dodgers if you face him in a playoff series, et cetera, et cetera. But if you can bring in David Morgan and he has success there, then it's not absurd. You still have 5 great relief arms that you can throw at the Dodgers almost every single night. I don't understand the idea of picking the guy who pitched last night, who was having mental issues facing this team, against the guy who's been better than him statistically and has not pitched for 5 days. It's a bad
again.
decision.
I mean, you're sort of just like the crutch of statistics. I mean, I'm looking at Morgan. He's thrown 7 innings ever against the Dodgers.
Okay.
I mean, and he's given up a couple of earned runs. So, it's not like we're talking about, lights out. It's better. But, small sample size relief pitchers, these things get really, really sort of skewed here, especially given that the one thing that we keep talking about with Estrada is the performance against the Dodgers, which of course is why we're even having this conversation to begin with, because they were playing the Dodgers and not Cincinnati. But, again, I
runs in
understand.
7 innings, 2 runs in 7 innings, a lot less than 13 and however many in 6 that.
And it also
Estrada
has absolutely zero history of success in a postseason series, which is a little bit more important than where it was that David Morgan was pitching last year, wasn't it?
I guess. Was he even in the big leagues last year?
No, he was not. So, maybe, if you want to make the argument that you should let the leash out a little bit more on Morgan, I suppose that's a fair conversation, especially, given what it was that happened over the weekend. But I also understand a manager's like, I've seen this guy get these guys out. For whatever reason, they've tagged him this year. But I've seen him get him out in a big spot in the playoffs before. So I think it's still in there. And, I believe it's still in there. And, now today, it's probably a little bit of a different thought process, because again, I understand the inclination of wanting to get him going the way he had been going against that team in previous, last year, I should say, not but now it's kind of blown up in everybody's face. So, now you're really kind of stuck, now you really are stuck with what it is that you have here with Jeremiah Estrada. So, man, I think it's a fascinating thing to talk about. And again, the results are the proof that anybody needs to say that this was the wrong decision. And I understand that, but again, I think sometimes thought process, should be taken into some consideration in these conversations.
I agree. I'm going to give you one more tiny, tiny little Mike Schilt decision that I'm not going to criticize. I just found it curious. And then we can move on to our playoff-bound San Diego FC beloved soccer team. In the 9th inning, Kirby Yates comes in for the Dodgers. 8-2 game. So the Dodgers have a 6-run lead with 3 outs left. And Ryan O'Hearn comes up and he grounds out to first. So now you're down to 2 outs. Again, Kirby Yates pitching. Xander Bogaerts had gone 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts on the day. I hate to do this. He makes over $25 million a year. Sorry. He got pinch hit for by Will Wagner, who had been called up, I think, yesterday morning or the day before. Billy Wagner's kid. Thought of to be a fringe major league player, utility guy. He, chopped a ball to third base and got thrown out. And then Gavin Sheets flied out to right to end the game. Now, I don't know if anyone asked Mike Schilt about this. I think it's worth asking him, why are you pinch hitting for the guy making over $25 million a year, whose best tool is hitting in the 9th inning? But my guess is he would go, well, we like the lefty bat against Kirby Yates. We like the lefty bat. I don't know, man. Maybe that's, white flag moment. All right, we're not coming back from this. Let's get Will Wagner in at bat and keep Xander from striking out 4 times today. I don't know. I haven't looked up the numbers to see how bad Xander's been in the last week or two, but he was trending high for a while, and there was a lot of Xander's fixed, and I maybe contributed to that, but he's been bad lately as far as my eye test goes, and getting pinch hit for in the 9th inning of a game you're losing when your best tool is hitting, this is a little something. Not a criticism, just something to keep an eye on.
I don't know. I was totally checked out by here, so
No,
it's an 8-2 game. He had punched out 3 times. Maybe something didn't feel right, and he's like, "All right, let me just get you out of here."
Maybe
just to do it. So Padre bullpen. It's not just Estrada, like I said. Suarez Suarez historically has not been great against the Dodgers. So, what is your level of confidence with all these power arms that the Padres have against the Dodgers should they meet again somewhere down the road?
I mean, you get to the playoffs, you figure it out there. I would do with Suarez the same thing that I said I would do with Estrada. You give him an opportunity early in the series. If he gets hammered, then you see if you can survive without him for as long as you can. And if at some point you can't and you got to bring him back in, you got to bring him back in. but you give him a chance early in that series to prove that he can have success against this team, and then you go from there. I don't think you give up a game that could potentially put you 2 games up in the division to try and figure that out. I think you can figure it out early in the series, but I also understand, well, you know, I'd rather blow a regular season game than first game of a playoff series. I totally get that. If Jeremiah Estrada came out and he was awesome in this game against the Dodgers, and then 2 weeks from now he got lit up in 3 straight appearances, I don't think he's walking into the Dodgers series going, yeah, I own these guys. He's going to be like, man, what's up with my stuff lately? Like, I think the confidence is not as team specific as people make it out to be. Even if this is Jeremiah Estrada going like, the Dodgers got something on me and no one else does.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shohei Ohtani homered against the Padres. I mean, he's been pretty bad against them historically in his career, right?
When the game was well in hand. I mean, what a garbage time home run that was.
Against Yuki Matsui. Not that I'm saying that Jeremiah Estrada is the Shohei Ohtani of relief pitchers. I'm just.
By the way, yeah,
sometimes certain teams, for whatever, you know, I thought Estrada's answer is like, this sport, like, and sometimes that's the only explanation that you have. But again, I don't stand here just blindly defending Schild. I don't know. I don't think he intended to throw the game away. I don't think he was willing to say, hey, listen, this guy might be shit today, but I'm going to do it anyway, just because I'm trying to prove a point. I don't think he does that. I don't think he's really been too concerned with people's feelings. Yeah, I think he's taken pitchers out like before they can even get to the 5th inning of some of these games. I think, again, you know, Schultz has not been like his predecessor in some of these situations where you're like, geez, that guy, he took him out with 4 2/3. You couldn't at least give the guy to the 5th inning so he could get a result as a starter. He's like, nah, I just, I'm pulling guys out of here. So, you know, I don't think it's exclusively that. You know, I don't think he thought he was like, you know, taking some massive risk here with it, because I don't think he's that kind of person, but he, of course, is going to come across as stubborn and a little bit obstinate afterwards. Mike didn't have a great weekend with media, let's be honest, starting with Ben and Woods on Friday and then into that press conference on Sunday. So, you know, like, I don't think it's his greatest gift. I don't know what his greatest gift is, but it's certainly not his understanding of how to communicate with people when you're being asked questions that maybe aren't as complimentary or as rosy as you would like them to be. So.
By the way, big guy loves playing the numbers, the lefty righty numbers. You know, he gets forced into a situation last week where he's got to play Ryan O'Hearn and Gavin Sheets more, even against left-handed pitching, and they crushed left-handed pitching. He brings in Wandy Peralta to try and clean up the Jeremiah Estrada mess to face the left-handed Freddie Freeman, and Freddie just goes yard on him for the second time in the day, and Shohei Ohtani goes yard on Matsui, and it's like, I don't know, maybe these lefty-lefty matchups are not all they're cracked up to be when you're pitching. Maybe just throw your best pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, again, I mean, best is open to interpretation. If you're saying best is you know, just based purely on what numbers might look like, you know, on a street, you know, then you and I can have this conversation about Morgan versus Estrada.
Yeah.
You know, I think Mike would probably say, like, one of my best relievers has been this guy. He's been one of my best relievers since I've been here.
Totally get it.
Yeah. But, you know, now I think you've really compounded the problem, unfortunately, because now it's like really a thing. you know, like, and I think like the thing that you could have avoided by not pitching him yesterday, even if you wanted to just chalk it up to strategy, you know, like I said, like if Morgan gets lit up, then you're like, oh, well, you were trying to hide Estrada, weren't you? And this backfired. So, you know, again, like, you know, you're always sort of having to entertain all these different fucking thoughts in your mind when it comes to baseball, which is why the sport is just, what's the phrase? It's a stupid sport and nobody should like it.
Yeah, no one should watch it. The thing about that is
like, oh, see, he was scared of Estrada. Now all of a sudden you're carrying being scared of Estrada against the Dodgers in a potential postseason.
But there's a really easy, like, hey, that guy hasn't pitched since Wednesday.
Nobody wants to buy that shit.
Why'd you go with David Morgan? He hadn't pitched since Wednesday. Estrada,
you'd be killing him today.
Estrada threw yesterday.
You'd be fucking killing him today if he said that.
I don't think I would.
You'd be like, I don't know. He hadn't pitched since Wednesday. You'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Run that guy right out of town, man. You wouldn't buy that bullshit, and you know it.
No, honestly, like,
but again, like, it's a hypothetical. I don't know that would have happened. You know,
when Estrada was trotting out, I was like, this should be Morgan, this should be Morgan, this should be Morgan. I don't do that a lot.
But I also say that when Suarez comes into these games now, and Suarez, you know, got out of it. And then I'm watching Mason Miller. I'm like, oh, man, this guy, he doesn't seem to have it against him. Made a brilliant defensive play to save it, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
picking up first, the pick on first, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, like You know, I remember Nevin saying this to me once, and I think he was right because people used to say this about Trevor Hoffman. They're like, I don't know, man. I always just feel nervous when Trevor comes in the game. You're like, of course you are. It's probably a one-run game.
Yeah, it's
Right? So you're supposed to be nervous because it's like one swing away. And like I like Estrada. And I know it's not about who likes what, and but I do think it's now the problem is compounded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's a good thing that you don't have to see them again, but you might, you might down the stretch. And the good news, I guess, is you don't have to, so you could use Estrada and not have to worry about somebody having the goods on him. What are they doing, man? They have to be cheating.
The Dodgers,
of course.
Yeah,
I'm not even saying cheating, but they definitely have the goods on this guy.
They have something. They have something.
It doesn't make any sense that this guy with 21 earned runs has given up 13 of them against this team with 5 fucking home runs. You kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I was looking earlier. He's still averaging 12 strikeouts per 9. And what did he do yesterday? Struck out nobody. Single, walk, fly out, home run. Struck out Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, what a weird sport. Why do they start Ohtani against the Padres? He's terrible against them.
Well, it's Ohtani. It's only a matter of time. All right, let's talk about the
All
good
right, so
team.
Seattle, by the way, what happens if the Padres sweep Seattle? Who gets the Better Cup?
I have not. I don't even remember. Now I have to go look up the Padres schedule to see what they did against them earlier.
They get swept.
They was it a 3-game series or?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3-3, so it would be tied.
Yeah, what happens here? Run differential.
You know what? If I remember correctly, I think there is a thing in there that's like run differential.
Okay, well, big series starting tonight at 6:30. I think it is
6:40. 6:40. Guess who's pitching tonight?
For who?
The Padres.
I know who's pitching tonight because I just looked at this. I don't have to guess. Who is it? It is it's just Sears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sears, Cease, and Darvish.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's ride.
I was thinking of you, by the way, and I think I mentioned you on the postgame show because of this. Because last week, Darvish had a bad first inning and then he recovered and he was good, and Nestor Cortez had a terrible first inning and then he recovered and he was good. And they were like, "Hey, after that first inning, I felt pretty good." And
it matters to these guys.
I was like, that matters to me, especially when they're throwing to a catcher that is still fairly new to them and a team that's still fairly new to them. At least in the case of Nestor Cortez. And I'm like, I'm taking away the full outing, which is like the last 4 or 5 innings were good. And then both those guys come out and they're really good. And then Nick Pivetta comes out and he's terrible in the first inning. Granted, it only led to 1 run. But it like these guys, for some reason, they have to figure out how to start the game a little bit faster.
It's mental.
But yeah,
it's so mental. So much of this is mental.
I'm feeling really good about Darvish and Nestor Cortez, though.
Good. Can I just ask real quick? Fernando Tatis Jr., good series or not a good series?
Not
0 for 7,
not
walked 5 times, scored twice.
I don't
didn't really make a difference at all.
I mean, he had a great play in right, but
yeah.
I don't. If you ask Fernando, I bet I know what the answer would be.
Oh, got it.
Terrible series.
Probably. But, this is a series where you think, you need stars to show up and play too.
Yeah.
But like you said, he makes a great catch. I know first inning yesterday, nobody out, and Laureano makes this grand slam saving catch right there in all the backdrop of people. You're thinking, oh, here we go again, like San Francisco. Is somebody going to come, crawling over the wall or whatever? But, makes the catch. So, I don't know, 2 out of 3 to me, it's just,
I know.
I mean, it's just like a 2-game lead in this division, which is why, John, again, I think you make really good points here. I think a lot of people will agree with you, and I understand that. I just think it's just not as black and white, but now it's a problem. What a night Saturday was, though. Like what did they call this crowd at Petco Park? Like 40? Did I see something like 46,000 people
on Saturday?
Did they call that crowd that high on Saturday night at Petco Park? I thought I saw this.
I think so.
That is, again, I know
40,
the whole
46, 326. That's a sellout, right?
Oh, well, I think they call anything over 40 a sellout now.
Yeah.
I remember, and maybe I'm misremembering, a time where Petco Park sellouts were 42,500. But I think anything over 40 now is a sellout. Maybe that has something to do with standing room only seats. Not quite sure.
Yeah, I think I told you that I was driving up to Dana Point on Saturday, and I was driving up at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, And I was going through Camp Pendleton north, and it was like bumper to bumper stopped going south. And my wife was literally like, where are they going? Like normally it's like the beach crowd like disappearing. Like why would they be coming into San Diego? And I was like, oh, those are Dodger fans.
There was a lot of them.
There was a ton of them.
Yeah, this was the series that they decided en masse. I think, I guess the parade thing, or whatever it is that they do. You know, the takeoff on the European soccer bit of like marching to the match. I think that was this past weekend for them. It looked on television. You could see quite a bit more blue than you saw in some of the previous series that were in attendance earlier this year at Petco Park. So feel like this was the weekend that they decided, the last weekend that they were gonna really show up in numbers. But did you see Kevin Acey, by the way? Had to go to like the Padres. There was some fight video that was posted. I can confirm that this was a fight from a previous year. This didn't happen last night. Okay. Kevin, I got bad news for you. Things are getting worse on social media when it comes to some of this, not better. So
I saw that. I
waste a lot of time trying to say things are or aren't true in life.
I was hoping that from now on that this could be a bit where every time someone posts the video of like the party going on in downtown and all the traffic and all the Padre fans celebrating, that Kevin Acey would just retweet it and be like, I can confirm that this was from 2023.
Right.
Or 2022.
I thought too.
Just every time.
Just everybody's going to troll Kevin now with like, oh, I can confirm that this thing happened in 1977. I just scanned that story that you read that Ken Rosenthal posted at The Athletic. I haven't read it, but I just did do a word search on Schilt, and the name Mike Schilt doesn't appear once in that story. So it's interesting that your takeaway was that these guys all are preaching about how Schilt is so amazing and all this sort of stuff. So I Ken Rosenthal, you said you posted it. Padres, Mason Miller, Ryan Ahern adopt team first approach plus MLB notes.
It's true that everything in here is phrased as from the Padres. Like even the first line, after acquiring Mason Miller, the Padres asked him about the role he envisioned in the bullpen, and he told them whatever. And then Miller said the Padres told him, quote, don't worry about roles going forward. Just worry about performing and helping us win games. And like, there's a bunch of stories about this, but yeah, they're all credited as the Padres, except for Ramon Laureano, who was like, I got here and I told AJ Preller, you're nuts, bro. You're completely nuts.
Yeah, the madman behind the wheel he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that because I was like, oh, are these guys really that effusive in their praise of Mike Schilt? And if that is the case, by the way, then what is everybody so worried about if they ever were to get to the point where they asked Luis Ariz to move someplace else? I mean,
yeah. Maybe he doesn't have a team first approach. I don't think his name is mentioned in here either.
No, I mean, if everybody else, like, is the story's whole premise is, which is all these guys are willing to do all these other things and whatever it takes, and I don't need this number and I don't need that number, and I know this hasn't been put out there. It's sort of a perception, maybe not the reality. But, if everybody's all team first and you really felt like it was better to move Ariz around a little bit, what are you worried about? All right, for 46,000 people, that is an insane number for a Saturday night, and it makes me appreciate even more the 28,000 people that showed up at Snapdragon Stadium on Saturday night for SDFC and Portland Timbers. It was hot, it was muggy. I know I sound like a thin-skinned turd in this, but that's fine. I'm not above that. It was humid, and like the energy. I give credit to the supporters group, Frontera SD, like that's a lot of jumping and singing and playing drums and musical instruments and, for 90 minutes nonstop. So shout out to those guys because they kept it going as best they could all night long. It was a scoreless draw, as mentioned. We did get the news at halftime that SDFC is now the first team ever. First team this season, I should say, to clinch a playoff spot, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. Regardless of how you feel about the team, about the performance, about the game on the micro level, even about a decision here or there. I know the Milan Olaski stuff keeps popping up because, the team has maybe not been as dynamic in goal scoring as it has. Portland is a better team. Portland came into the match good at one thing, and that is keeping the ball out of the net. The thing that they are not good at is putting the ball in the net.
Yeah, they don't score a lot.
Which is why they went out there and they added 3 players during the transfer window, all of whom started in this match. They signed one guy 4 days ago, 5 days before the match, I think. Another guy 7 days before the match, and another guy 9 days before the match. So they threw these guys right into the deep end of the swimming pool and said, hey, we've only got 8 games to go here in our season, so you're all starting right away. It was a debut for Corey Baird, who started at the number 9 spot. I thought he looked great. I thought he looked so good. He fit in so well. I thought he knew exactly where his teammates were. He had a great pass that was called offside to Anders Dreyer. Great flick on middle of the field. I thought he was active, knew where he should have been, understood his role. And then, of course, he goes hopping off the field in the 43rd minute with some sort of injury to his left leg. So it did change the dynamic just a little bit, because now here comes David Vasquez. Vasquez plays over on the right. Anders plays in the middle. SDFC had 2 goals that were called off due to offside. One of them was clear, and that was the Chucky Lozano one. The other one, although the fireworks went off, which was very exciting as a broadcaster. And then the second one was Anders Dreyer. We're like, well, that one's not getting called off. Literally said that into the microphone, only to have it called off by VAR a couple of minutes later. So, and then a penalty kick in the 90th minute was called off, rightfully so, due to VAR. I think all the calls were fair. I think all the calls were right. One shot on target for SDFC. I mean, the best players on the field, honestly, were defensive players for both sides. Superich and Sermon for Portland, and Manu Dua again, and
Man
Luca
of the match.
Bambino. Yeah, again, like the best players in this match, and people who are half in on soccer or not in on soccer, like, okay, is that something to be proud of? But the best players on the field truly were the defenders, and of course Yepe. But I guess the bigger picture, John, is I guess you could talk about the match. You know, again, there wasn't a ton there. It's sort of a clunky kind of, possession, but not a lot going on. One shot on target, as I mentioned. I feel like the first half was going SDFC's way. Portland made some adjustments at the break. Big picture is, though, they're going to the playoffs with 6 games to go, and these are not going to be 6 easy games. They're playing LAFC, which is chasing them in the standings, coming up on Sunday. We just got the start time for that game. It's at 7:45. Sunday night. There goes my weekend. But anyway, SDFC, LAFC will be a ton of fun. Minnesota United back in San Diego 2 Saturdays from now. That's number 1 versus number 2 in the Western Conference. SDFC is still on top of the Western Conference, but they're a point back in the Supporter Shield standings. Philadelphia, with a goal from Milan Olaski, is ahead on the Supporter Shield standings, but SDFC is the first team to clinch a playoff spot in season number 1. They're the fastest expansion team ever to do it, which is yet another record, which, sometimes you wonder, does anybody in this club care about these kind of records? I think at the end of the year, they probably will care a little bit more than they do in real time. But, a mixed bag, kind of like Padres and Dodgers, where, you wanted that record at home. You wanted to clinch by winning, to say at the end of the game, win and we're in, even though a draw was going to do the same. But, scoreless draw, 3rd time I think it is at Snapdragon Stadium, which I think speaks a little bit to the approach from some of these teams that come in there. We didn't have a lot of highlights on this one.
I was going to say.
Not great for my highlight reel, John, as I, someday, somewhere down the road, I'm going to sell myself to be the radio broadcaster for FC Barcelona. I didn't have a ton of highlights on this one. There were a couple of saves for CJ. One of them stood out to me. It came on a free kick, a little knuckleball inside of the 6-yard box. The other 2 didn't seem like they were all that difficult for him.
Yeah.
But, sort of a defensive struggle. Portland probably better second half. SDFC left the goal in the first. I think Portland probably felt like it left a goal out there on the second. But at the end of it, each side went home with a point. And I'll just say this real quick. I don't think I want to see that Portland team. If that gets clicking with these 3 new players, I wouldn't really want to see that team in the playoffs, because you got to play them 2 out of 3. Playoffs will start, I think, October 24th, somewhere in that range. It's a weekend, 24th, 25th, something like that. And you'll have to play a leg up there in Portland as well, where you're playing on turf, and who knows what the freaking weather will be up there. And I don't know. They got a interesting coach and a good defensive mindset. And if they get clicking a little bit and become better at scoring, it might be a tough out for somebody. But that's down the road. Playoffs, that's good, right? Even with the result being a scoreless draw at Snapdragon.
Yes, playoffs are good. Another man of the match for my guy Manu Dua. Love to hear that. Wish I could have seen that. Might go back and rewatch this game, even though it was 0-0. Just to see the good defensive plays and to see Corey Baird, because that's exciting.
Yeah. unfortunately, who knows how long
we'll
he's going to
see.
be out.
Here's
He was really looking good. He looked like the best number 9 since we've seen Milan.
And I probably have questions about why Marcus Ingvarson wasn't there, but doesn't really matter. The question I want to ask you, and I want this to be an ongoing thing. I'm going to ask you this question now. It's not going to be the last time I ask you this question. Thinking of the big four, so it's NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL. As of right now, if you were to throw MLS in there and make it a big 5, I know someone's heart just got 5 times bigger, but if you were to do that, would you consider this the greatest expansion season in the history of those sports? Those sports, American Big 5, calling it Big 5 sports.
Can I just editorialize on the phrase Big 4 real quick?
Oh, please.
I don't believe that's a real thing anymore.
I don't think so either. The NHL has fallen so far off. The NFL has outgrown everyone.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. There's tiers now for sure.
It's a big one, and it's the NFL, and it's everything else.
I just wanted to keep it to a major American sports and not divert into like European soccer.
Sure. I got you. Yeah. The more traditional, right? Yeah, I do though. I think it's the NFL, and then there's like this massive gap, and
totally
college football probably number 2 in this country.
That's a good point. Yeah,
and that's becoming a professional sport too. So, but that's not the question that you were asking. I don't. How many expansion teams? I mean, didn't the Vegas hockey team go to the Stanley Cup final?
And their expansion season, yes. That's why I said I'm going to continue to ask you this because how they fare in the playoffs, how deep they go, is going to affect this compared to the Knights. I think also didn't like the Jaguars and the Panthers both go to the playoffs their first year in the NFL. I don't know if either one of them won their games, but yeah, I mean, there's some. We remember them for their postseason successes. So if they go to the postseason and get like stomped out in the first round, we'll probably forget about this team. Well, I won't forget about this team, but the grand scheme of things, the team will be forgotten about. But as of right now, I think they are on a trajectory. They certainly have the potential to be the greatest expansion team in the history of American sports, I think, in our lifetimes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, no expansion teams ever won the Supporter Shield, which is why that matters. And can I just take a quick second to explain this? Because there still is the perception that being the best regular season team in any given season, what does that matter? You give out a trophy for that? You give out a trophy called the Supporter Shield.
I love that trophy.
I do too. And I'm glad that they do it because I do think that regular season success should matter for something, especially when you're playing these long seasons. 34 games is not long compared to baseball, but 34 is longer than football.
I also love that it's named after the supporters because they're the ones that are watching every game, at every home game, traveling with the team. Like the regular season, they're putting in as much effort as like the players sometimes. And I appreciate that trophy is named for them.
And you also do get, if you win Supporter Shield, you do get, you're qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League. That's a pretty big tournament to be in. That's as prestigious a tournament as you're capable of playing in. And I'm sure it comes with some sort of financial rewards as well. I don't know exactly what they are.
In the CONCACAF Championship, you would get home games, right? In theory?
Yeah. I mean, you play, against teams from CONCACAF, which is the governing body, which is North America, Central America, South America. So, you're going to be playing international clubs, which I think is what the club is all about.
Yeah.
They want to be on that kind of stage and being given the opportunity to go and play in places in Mexico and play in places in Costa Rica and play in places in the Caribbean, I think would be massive. Like, I think that would be an incredible thing.
Yeah.
So, there is a reward to it. It's not just like, okay, participation trophy, here you go. And then again, I think that there comes with it some sort of financial reward if you qualify for CONCACAF Champions Cup. But that's, we'll have to give it a little bit of time on that. What was I saying? What was my point here? Where was I going?
Supporter Shield.
Supporter Shield. Okay. So one game back of Philadelphia, which, again, will be interesting because there is a subplot there now with Philadelphia being the team where Milan Olaski ended up. Do I think this would be? I don't know. I mean, I think to break all sorts of records here, they're already on a record of 6 consecutive away matches. That's kind of a detail. That's one of those records somebody points it out and you're like, oh, isn't that interesting? I don't know that anybody was talking about that, nor does anybody even know who the previous record holder was.
Yeah,
But I
it's
think
a weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, sometimes in baseball you get these stats and you're like,
Yeah.
well, who was the previous record holder? I didn't even know about this.
Yeah.
If you don't know the previous record, then sometimes. I came into the season knowing exactly what the record was for wins in a season by an MLS expansion club. 17 from St. Louis 2 years ago. By the way, St. Louis fired its sporting director today. Not that anybody here necessarily cares about that. And also, LAFC's points record for an expansion team, which is at 57. So, 2 more wins and you break both of those records. And there's some combination of draws for the points record, but I'm not going to bother with that today. I mean, being the most successful MLS expansion team, especially in its 30th season and its 30th team, I think would be meaningful. How that would compare against, the NFL team that went to the playoffs or the hockey team. I guess off the top of my head, I would have to say the Las Vegas, the Golden Knights are considered the best expansion team ever. Now, is there a WNBA team that maybe made a run here that I'm struggling to remember?
Yeah, but they've had so many expansion teams because their teams close
So
and
is
open up new
MLS.
ones.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
MLS's early days, were a little dodgy there as well. Where they lost a couple of clubs. Tampa comes to mind. Originally, the San Jose Clash. But I think they'd be in that kind of conversation if you're going to lump MLS into those kind of conversations. So, and I love the post-game video that SDFC posted of Mikey talking to the team. I mean, talk about a guy that just really gets it. A guy that totally is quickly ascending up my list of favorite people to cover and be around. Even what he said, being an expansion team, he's like, hey, listen, our goal is just to, I love what he said about, let's see, I have the quote here. I won't read it all. But what a lot of, he's talking about just how his goal isn't necessarily all these benchmarks and all these achievements. But for me, what is tremendous value is we're here to represent a community, right? We're supposed to be a reflection of San Diego and the people in San Diego. And I think that means a community with good character. It's a community that's creative, diverse. It's a place that people know they come for entertainment, but where a lot of people don't know, this is a place where people make tremendous sacrifices to live in and they work really hard. It's California. These areas, it's not easy to make a living and live here. People make tremendous sacrifices, huge work ethic every single day so they can live here because they love this place so much. And I think that's what I'm most proud about the group you see in the games. When we're down, we have a fighting spirit about us. That's the base of everything that we do in trying to be a reflection of the community. Like that is soccer. Like, again, I'm reading a book now about Spanish soccer. And one of the chapters is about this team doesn't expect to win anything, but what they expect, because that's real life. Not everybody, the world doesn't operate on salary caps like a lot of our pro sports teams do. But what they expect is that the team is going to mirror the spirit and the personality of the city. And I think Mikey is really taking that to heart. So I do appreciate him paying attention to that sort of stuff and not just seeking out the glory of saying, we're a record-setting club and we're doing all these kind of things. I think he downplays that sort of stuff publicly, even though I'm sure he's incredibly proud of it. But what he's really proud of is the way that the city and the club is connected and the way he hopes it is reflective of what the city's all about. And I for one, do appreciate that. So on to LAFC on Sunday night again, 7:45, which means kickoff is probably going to be like 7:50.
Be caffeinated.
I know, like my whole caffeine routine is, I'm going to have to come up with a plan for that today.
Is that their latest kick for the year so far?
We haven't had one later than that. 7:40 is usually where we're at. So this one will be the latest. At LAFC too, Steve Cherundolo, San Diego guy. So, they're looking up in the standings as well. But again, overall, I think the match itself was a little bit of a slog. But clinching a playoff spot, man, that's a big deal in season number 1. Been invited to go on sports radio shows. I was on Kogo this morning at 8:00. Kogo.
Whoa.
Yeah.
People like that word playoffs, Darren.
Playoffs? We got 2 teams that are going to the playoffs.
I like these words. Lifetime contract for Mikey Varas. The one thing that's
That's
freaking
the one
me
thing,
out.
honestly, like secretly, I kind of worry, like these guys' success.
No, that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
I hope they're not going to go get plucked and go somewhere else.
This is the difference, right? This is the difference between being really, really successful as an expansion franchise in MLS or being really, really successful as an expansion franchise in NHL. There's nowhere to go up in NHL. You're just the best NHL team, and no one's gonna pluck you.
Right.
But like if if San Diego FC is the best team, like let's say they win the Supporters Shield, let's say they win the MLS Cup, and let's say they do it again next year, Darren, you know what's going to happen? All of these players are getting sold. Mike Ivaris is going to be the head coach at Manchester United or something. Like that's the better you are. This is why I get freaked out when Manodua gets man of the match again. I'm like, no, it's not like, don't be too good, because if you're too good, you go to one of the better leagues, and I don't want that. I love this team right now, and I want them to keep it together as much as they can. And I know that's who did we have on that we were talking about? Was it Joe Lowry we were talking about this with? Where it's just like, if you're a really, really good MLS team, part of that whole process and structure is selling off players to get a lot of money to build the best. Like my American sports brain cannot calculate falling in love with a team, a coach, players, and then having them graduate up to a different and better league that gets them out of San Diego. Now you see some of my anxiety and fear just spilling out. But no, this team is great, and Mikey's a big part of it. And I continue to be freaking amazed that people will throw questions at him that there's no chance he had a way to prepare for. And he answers it like he spent 4 hours the night before preparing to answer the question every single time. Like, I don't understand how his brain can work that fast, but that's probably why he's such a good coach.
I loved it too when they showed inside of the locker room afterwards, and he was just going back and forth, English, Spanish. And he's like, hey, man, when he said at the end, he's like, okay, so now we qualified for the playoffs. And now what? And then he said in Spanish, y ahora qué? Y ahora qué? I bet you that's going to be the next phrase for this club moving forward, is everybody's going to say, y ahora qué? And now what? Now what are you going to do? Because now you've qualified. Okay, that's great. But now what? Ahora qué? And I love that from him, because he's just standing there. You can just see how much like the passion goes through him when he's standing up there before the club.
We should make shirts that say that, because we are connectively tied to the expansion San Diego FC team. Darren, Section 1904 launched right as they were kicking off their expansion season. You have been working for the team pretty much the whole year. So I want to make these shirts.
Homecoming for Tom Penn on Sunday, by the way.
Oh, that's right. The LAFC guy.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Will they put him on the video board there? Thanks, Tom. Will there be one of those moments?
They have the eagle or whatever land on them.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yes. Have the eagle. Good job. Nice memory out of you when we went up there. Didn't we take a picture with the eagle?
Yeah, it pops up on my my little photo thing in my kitchen every now and then, and my daughter always sees it. She's like, "Why are you sitting there with an eagle?" I'm like, well, I was at a soccer game and there was an eagle. She's like, "Who took that picture?" Darren took that picture of me with an eagle.
All right. Well, anyway, I think it's a good discussion. I really do, and I think the results probably, I don't know, what are people saying? I mean, I would venture a guess that most people probably agree with you. Like this really wasn't the time to just go back to Estrada there, but
the scary thing is so much of my anxiety is just filling into the podcast today. The scary thing is the Padres have been really streaky lately. They'll win 5 games. They'll lose 4 games. They'll win 5 games. They lost this game, and now they go to Seattle. They're not a good road team. And the Mariners are good. And the Mariners are 2 games out of first place themselves. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if they go to Seattle and they get swept.
And is there a hangover, right? Sometimes after these Dodger series, it kind of takes a little something from you.
Right. And the Mariners know JP Sears. I'm sure they've seen him before. And I don't know. It could be bad. It could be good. We're gonna see. If it spills out bad, you're gonna hear a lot of me screaming about Mike Schilt. A lot.
Schilty. What a weekend for him, for your boy.
I wanna grab that clip of him turning his head like a confused dog,
like an owl. Hey, here's Mike Schilt, the owl. His head almost turning around 360 degrees.
Also,
because he just is so stunned by Kevin Acey's question. Like.
He's looking at him like, bro, we played pickleball together. Why are you asking me this question?
I don't think they're doing that anymore.
He's getting to the point that he's picking fights with everyone in the media. Like, how's he think that's going to end? That doesn't end well.
People used to love that when it first started. They're like, yeah, Mike, put those media bitches in their place. And now everybody's like, yeah, it's a tired act, right? Yeah. I mean, it feels like at first it was, yeah, Melvin was too chummy with those media scoundrels. Mike's going to put him in their place. Give it back to D. Lynn. Give it back to AJ Cass, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, okay, like we're kind of over this act.
If
man.
you do,
you
yeah,
don't
if you do it every
understand why
time.
you're being asked this question on Ben and Woods on Friday about him, like, do you not understand what this is all about? This is not 60 Minutes here, Mike. These are guys that want the Padres to win, that are Padre fans, but they also are a conduit to the fans, and this is what the fans want to know. So they are asking you this question. So if you're taking a shitty tone with them, you're taking a shitty tone with the people who are putting 46,000 of them into the seats on any given night. So I don't know. I'm not pretending like I think it's easy to do this job. I don't, but there's a lot of other places here where it'd be a lot worse. Like, again, and I'm even half defending him here on the Estrada stuff, even though, I think you make some good points, but I don't know. All right. Well, I guess that's that. Thank you, everybody. Again, if you are new to Section 1904, daily podcast Monday through Friday, be a subscriber as little as $5 a month, access to the Discord channel, front row seats, a daily Monday through Friday newsletter, weekday newsletter that gets delivered right to your inbox. Some of the storylines, some of the headlines that you might have missed from sports. We're all living these busy, chaotic lives, especially now, those of you parents, kids back in school, etc. So John does a good job with that. We do put out some content there from time to time. Access to shows on video, which was not our intent when we started, but we're doing a little bit more of it. We also are available on social media, Section 1904 on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok. We're big on TikTok these days.
Yeah.
So, and more things, more and more announcements, hopefully not before too long. So we got a lot of things cooking here, but thank you. These Mondays are always free and we appreciate you tuning in. But again, if you like it and you want to support a local business, like an actual local business with an LLC, then that's Section 1904. We know you have a lot of choices, and we are amongst one of them. So appreciate that. By the way, speaking of, the more and more I looked at it over the weekend, I pay for ESPN Plus and pay for the Padres, and somehow I still think I'm going to have to pay more money to get the Padres in the future. I don't know how that's going to look or work, but
This reminds me, I need to write a post on Section 1904. I promised the Discord that I would, because everyone was complaining about how much more money they think they're going to have to pay to watch the Padres going forward. And I was like, well, I pay like $12 a month and I can watch every baseball game, every football game. And everyone was like, wait, how? Explain that to me. I was like, I'll write a post on Section 1904. And they're like, yes, please do that. So that's going to be a post. That's going to be for subscribers only. If you want to figure out how to more efficiently do your TV setup.
I'm trying to look at some of the comments here, and I don't have access. John has denied me access, so I guess we'll just have to wait. I wanted somebody to yell at one of us for our stupid takes.
Oh, there was people yelling at me.
By the way, thank you to John Conniff, who supplied today's wardrobe. Since both of us are wearing Padre minor league affiliate gear. I'm wearing a Fort Wayne tin cap shirt. There you go, Greg Held. Minor league teams representing well this morning. Hey, we haven't abandoned the minor leagues, even if AJ Preller has. I think we should have John Conniff's coming to town this week, is he not?
Oh, that's right. I was thinking about maybe going to Lake Elsinore and saying hey, and maybe we'll have him on a podcast.
Hey, I also would like to do a story on Luis Campusano, the legend of Luis Campusano in El Paso.
Oh boy.
I mean, every day I get some sort of social media post that Luis Campusano has hit 2 more home runs.
The El Paso Chihuahuas, like Instagram and Twitter accounts are hilarious to me.
Hilarious.
And my favorite one, did you see the one a week or two ago where they were like, we should build him a statue, and they had a Luis Campusano like picture of a statue sitting in front of their stadium? I hope they do it.
He's the all-time home run leader there, right?
I know.
I mean, it is becoming like this really, and I don't know that he appreciates this, but it is really becoming one of these sort of legendary tales about Luis Campusano. I don't know, man. Anyhow,
Crash Davis.
Yeah, and there is some of that, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully no hangover tonight for the Pods in Seattle. Especially with the all-important Vetter Cup on the line. Lose this one, John, and the Vetter Cup is theirs.
For this year, Darren, we can win it back next year.
Doing a lot of winning around here.
First place teams.
Yeah.
Playoff bound teams.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on the San Diego State football program.
They start Thursday
against your old stomping ground, Stony Brook.
Yeah, I mean
I'm gonna be watching
where I'm there from. Yeah, I don't know. I heard something over the weekend about ticket sales, which would suggest to me, John, that you can find a ticket Tickets are available.
Someone told me you can get like pretty good season tickets, and the number they threw at me to do it was shockingly low. And I was like, well, I don't. It's kind of a long drive. I'd probably end up paying for parking more than once. That's annoying, but I don't know. I'm gonna be
three wins last year in season number 1.
I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the San Diego State Aztecs for one reason only, Darren. If they're good, it'll be fun. I hope they're good. I'm not gonna get my heart broken if they're not, but if they're good, be fun. I would love to have a good college football team.
John Lewis, you're saying you believe deep
down? I don't know. I don't believe in anything. I'm always gonna have. Look, my heart belongs to the UCLA Bruins football team, as loserish as you think our coach is. And it's a fair criticism. He's doing some loser stuff. What is that?
Somebody came by with a unique horn.
Oh, that was like a horn on a car?
Yeah, it was the General Lee, wasn't it?
It did sound like the General Lee. That was fantastic. But no, I'm going to be watching UCLA every week. I'm also going to have like half an eye over here on San Diego State, just in case they're good. If they're ever good, we're going to talk about them on this podcast a lot. If they're like a 2-win football team, we're not. So I'm keeping half an eye.
This is their last year in the Mountain West.
And then they go pack whatever it is.
12.
With what, 6 teams? They didn't 8 teams. They don't
think
have
they're
12.
up to 8 now. Football.
I hate the fact that it was the Pac-10, 10 teams. And they're like, we got 12 teams. It changed to the Pac-12, and since then it has not been 12 teams. They continued to call it the Pac-12. Just go back to Pac-10.
It's a brand,
Pac-8.
but I don't think it's 10 though. And then you have to like, is it basketball? Like, what's the number?
I don't know. It's too confusing. But I am going to keep half an eye on them because I purchased the new college football video game over the weekend, and I started a franchise with the San Diego State Aztecs because playing games inside of Snapdragon Stadium actually looks really cool because all the seats are filled in when you do it on the video game.
What is the what time is this game on Thursday?
Don't know.
Let's see. I should have this right here on my phone.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Thursday.
Yep.
Mission Valley.
I think that's an off day for the Padres?
That is an off day.
Perfect. Oh, they get Wednesday. Oh, no, Wednesday's a day game. That's why it's not there. So, yeah, off day Thursday. So all the Padre fans can tune into the San Diego State.
Expected to be a high of 82 in San Diego.
Boy, if they lose to Stony Brook, we're going to have something to talk about on Friday.
Will we?
No, we'll talk about anything else.
I'll probably go, okay. We'll get back to you on that one. I mean, if we don't have to, we won't. But it would be nice. I don't know what their expectation is when you schedule Stony Brook for your home opener. I don't know, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot about kids not back in school or whatever.
Their next 2 games are Washington State and Cal. Like, you got to win the Stony Brook one because Washington State and Cal are not pushovers.
Yeah, one's a future conference foe, Washington State.
Where's Cal now? Did Cal go Big Ten?
ACC.
Oh, jeez.
You don't think Cal in the Atlantic Coast Conference makes a lot of sense? Welcome to college football in 2025.
Oh, I love how chaotic it has all become.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it for sure. All righty, tasty day of soccer. I'm going to go watch Liverpool and Newcastle. So that's coming up at 12 o'clock. That should be pretty good. A lot of drama there, a lot of subplots about Alexander Isak. Is he going to go to Liverpool? Is he going to stay at Newcastle? I don't think so. So I'll go watch that a little later on. I think I'm going to be also on radio later today with John and Jim. So
ooh, fun.
Yeah, I'm very popular.
Mention the section, Darren.
Very popular on AM. John Schaefer always does that.
I know.
Appreciate that John does that.
He's a subscriber, one that we love.
I know. We should. Somebody called out for John on the Discord, and I sent a note to John and said people are looking for you on our Discord channel, and he's like, "Oh, how do I get there?" And I had to say, "We'll get you a link or something."
Tell him to email John.
Should we ask John to preview San Diego State football?
Honestly, yes, that would be really fun for me.
Would it?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, just because we can. I think San Diego State football is not negative or harmful or whatever. I think it's just like it's silly. Like, I don't think it's a thing to be taken seriously right now. I think it's kind of a silly thing, but it's a silly thing that could grow into something that is taken seriously. So it's fun. I like it. I like talking about things that are in that place. Now, if they start the season like 0-6, then we're not we're not having him on to talk about San Diego State football. But before the season,
No,
before
we'll be like,
Stony
hey,
Brook,
John, how about the basketball team?
yeah, exactly. But if he wants to come on and help us preview this Stony Brook game, I'm down.
All right. Well, maybe a little quid pro quo.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of Thursday. Like college football is this weekend.
I know. Did you didn't watch the game on
From Dublin?
Yeah, the Dublin game. I didn't watch much of it either. It was not.
Was it Penn State and?
No, it was Iowa State and Kansas State, like the weirdest teams to send to Dublin.
I wouldn't watch that if it was in the estuary.
I watched 5 minutes of it, and then I was like, I just would rather play this video game, and then I went and played the video game instead.
Yeah, I don't know, but all these great matchups, you know, as college football consolidates. All righty, this is a long one here today. Thank you, everybody chiming in. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out. I don't know that we made anybody feel any better or worse about the weekend, but there's another one tonight, and that's kind of baseball in a nutshell. There's another one in fucking 7 hours, so do it again tomorrow. I'll see you later.